Welcome to your brand new camper van. Today we are going to film a video manual that's going to be used as a reference for you to use on the road if you have any questions on how to use and operate your van. So we have a 3,000 watt Victron inverter, and we have underneath your inverter we have 560 amp hours of lithium battery power. Now I'm going to teach you how to turn on your inverter. So your control panel consists of your Victron energy monitor, your accent light dimmer, your gray dump, and your upper cutoff for your lounge lights. So we'll start with the lights. So your accent lights are underneath your cabinets. You can turn them on and off by just clicking the dimmer switch. So I click the dimmer switch and now it's on and I can dim my lights. So how we did the lighting in your van is we connected the lighting from your under cabinet lights and your lounge lights and your kick lights. So you have one up here by your sink. So just to kind of cut up the ambiance at night, what we did is you can turn off the top lights and you can keep the bottom lights on and they can still be dimmable. And then in the daytime, when you want maximum amount of light, you can turn on the upper lights with it. So now they all dim together. So if you come back over here, you'll see you have the gray tank dump. So this is your gray tank dump when it's full. How to know when it's full? So this is your Victron energy screen. You're going to slide your finger this way. So right now our fresh water is empty and we have 21% in our gray dump. So you can see that right here. So now to empty my gray dump, all I would have to do is I'd click this button and now the water will come out of the system. So when your fresh water is empty, your gray dump should be full. So remember to keep an eye on this. This is kind of like your fuel gauge of your vehicle. These are the things, there's 3 items that you want to keep your eye on while you're using your van on your trips. Your battery power, if your inverter's on, and your water. Alright, so now I'm going to teach you how to plug your van into shore power. So on the side of your van, we will have our shore power outlet. This is a 30 amp outlet. So we give you this adapter. That's a 30 amp. And that's a 15 amp. A 15 amp is like a standard extension cord. So you're going to take your adapter and you're going to see the L right there. You're going to line the L up with the L, push it in, and then you're going to just tighten the collet to keep it secured in the side of the van. And you're going to take your outlet and you're going to plug it in, or your extension cord, and plug it in. Remember, when we give you this cord, this is a nice thick cable. So when you purchase your cable for the extension cable for your shore power, don't buy the cheapest one on the block. And if you need to know which one is best used, please reach out to us and we'll let you know how which one to purchase. Okay, so now let's go inside of the van. So your inverter has 4 functions. It has off, it has on, it has charge only, and inverter only. So I'm going to run through those functions for you. So right now your inverter is in the off position. So you have no shore power coming through your system and it's not charging your batteries. Okay? If I wanted, in this scenario, say I just pull up to a campsite and I want to plug in my van and use my outlets, then I would turn my inverter in the on mode. So it'd go from the main screen. So I'll show you what the main screen looks like. You'd click inverter, it says off. You'd go to mode, click this, and you turn it on. Alright, so in that scenario, and then you click set. So now in this scenario, we are using shore power and our outlets at the same time. Say you want to take your van and you want to just charge it. You're not using your van, but you want to maintain your charge. So what you're going to do is you'd go into your mode and you'd go charge only. So like I said, charge only indicates that you are just charging your battery system and maintaining it and making sure it's nice and strong for the next time you use it. Okay? And if you're on the road and say you are boondocking and you're in the middle of nowhere and you're not plugged into shore power, but you just want to use your outlets, all you do is go into your inverter charger mode and you put it on inverter only. So this just makes all of my outlets live and I'm not getting a charge from shore power. And remember, if you're not using your outlets, your best practice is to keep your inverter off. So now we're going to run through the velvet heater inside of your van. So the heater is stored in your passenger lounge. Runs up and you have a kick right here underneath your galley. To run your heater, all you're going to do is come up to this display screen right here. You're going to click it. So you see our current room temperature is 62, and this is the temperature we want to set the heat to. So we're going to put the heat whatever we'd like, and then you're just going to hold this button for 2 seconds. It makes a noise. And those little dancing lines right there indicate that the heat is starting. Best practice when using this heater, make sure to run it every single month for at least 20 minutes. All right, so above me is your Dometic RTX 2000. That is your air conditioner unit. Your unit comes with a controller. The controller doesn't actually work until you turn the unit on. So I'm going to teach you how to turn the unit on. You're going to hold this button down until you see the blue light turn on. And then if you click it again, you'll see the screen pop up. Now I can use this in full function. The best usage that we see when customers use this AC unit is to put it on eco mode. So to run it on eco mode, what you're going to do, right now you have it on temp auto, to manual, to eco mode. And now eco mode, it will run its course, and this pulls the least amount of power when using it on long durations of time. Again, the best usage when you're using this, if you plan on going for a long trip, is to plug into shore power at a campsite and run it at whatever capacity you'd like to run it at. And if not, run it on eco mode. Now I want to show you how to power off the system. So all you're going to do is you see the blue light on right here. You're just going to hold. All right, so right above me is our vent fan. Your vent fan comes with a controller. There's an IR sensor in the corner of the unit. So remember, when you are using the controller, you want to have a good view of the sensor to use the controller. It's very basic and easy use. You'll see that it has just an on-off button, and you have 10 different speeds that you can turn the fan on. The fan, if you're going to do maintenance on the fan, what happens is you have 2 different modes. You can pull the air out, or you can suck the air in. So if you suck the air in, what we see is bugs sometimes get stuck on the screen. So if you want to do some maintenance in the summertime, all you're going to do is you want to turn these little knobs right here on the outside, and then you can pull this screen down and clean it off. It's as easy as that. Okay, in the rear passenger side of the van, you're going to see your water port. So we advise you to get one of these adapters right here. What's nice is that if you're just filling up your van by yourself, you can control the water stopping, so you don't have to run back and turn off the water from the hose. So you're going to plug in, turn your hose on, turn this water on, so the water's feeding into your system, and then from this angle, you'll be able to see your Victron water system. All right, best practices when filling up your water tank, make sure not to overfill your tank. We always say that it's best to be at that 90–95% limit, and you will be able to view that from the angle in which you're filling up your tank. In the front part of the driver's side lounge, you'll see your hot water heater. So this is a 110 volt hot water heater. The only way to use this hot water heater is to turn your inverter on. Once your inverter is on, it will take the hot water heater about 10–15 minutes for it to get boiling hot. And what's nice about it is once it's nice and hot in the system, since the interior of this is very insulated, it'll stay hot for a long time inside of that hot water heater. So once your water pump is on, which I just clicked on the side of this galley, the water that's already coming out of this is warm, so the longer it sits in that tank heating up, the hotter it's going to be. And when you're done using it, you can turn off your water pump. All right, so now I'm going to teach you how to set up your exterior shower. So on the rear side of your lounge, you're going to take a towel. We always say this is in best practice. Take a towel and just put it at the bottom. Okay? So you have your diverter valve or your mixing valve on the far side, and then your quick connect for your shower head, and then your water pump. So you're going to take your shower head, and you're going to plug it into you're going to put it in the off position, just in case you left your water pump on, and you're going to plug it into the quick connection port. All right, now that we're plugged into the quick connection port. Oh, there's no water coming out. Well, that's because you want to put your water pump on. So, turn your water pump on, you'll hear it pump. And now we have water coming through the system. So now this mixing valve will allow the amount of water to come out, and then you can change the heat all from the same valve. Okay? So now when I turn off the system, I'm going to run just the water out of the system right now until it fully stops. Okay, now that it's pretty much stopped, I'm going to turn off the head. And then I'm going to take my two fingers like this. I'm going to pop the shower head out of the quick connection valve. So why don't you come closer and I'll show you how that happens. Take your two fingers and this ring right here, you just push the ring and it disconnects the hose. And there's going to still be water inside of this hose. So what you want to do, put it in the on position, just let it drain out. And then I would advise in best practice to take anything that's wet and put it into a plastic bin when storing it inside of your van. Alright, so let me teach you how to use a lagoon table. It's a very simple system to use. You have 3 handles on a lagoon table. They all have different functions. One functions to tighten the spin on the top of the table. One's function is to tighten the turn from side to side. And the last one's function is to raise it up and down. So to tighten any of these handles, all you're going to want to do is take the handle, pull it towards you, turn it, and then crank down. Because what happens is if it extends too far, then you might have yourself a problem and it's hitting the wood. Okay? When you're traveling with a lagoon table inside of a van, especially in our vans, we like to make the lagoon tables a little bit bigger. It's nice, it's comfortable, but there's a certain angle in which a lagoon table can hit a cabinet. So make sure when you are storing this table, when you're driving, I like to take the table and I would move it into a position where it's far enough away from a cabinet, and then I would crank it down nice and tight. You can do that, or you can take the table. Lagoon created a way for you to store your lagoon table. So you're going to loosen up the handle, slide the leg into this groove right here, and then you're going to want to connect your lagoon mount, tighten it up. So now that it's nice and tight, you can just take this and it sits right into the groove of your seat. So now that you have your lagoon mount stored, we're going to build the bed. So the first section of the bed is going to be your table. We created a specialty slide out drawer. You're going to turn this little bamboo knob and they can slide out the connecting sections of your bed. On the backs of these cushions, we put a marine snap so they don't fall down when you're driving. So you just want to undo the snaps. Take your cushion, feed it in. There you have it. Your nice and comfy bed. Now that your bed is in the down position, let's go ahead and put it back to a normal lounge. Watch how quick this is. Pull out your drawer. There's a certain way that these bamboo pieces will fit into this groove. If you try it this way, the hole will not line up, so make sure to put it in this position. Turn a knob so it's locked, push her. All right, and just like that, you are back to hangout mode. Remember, you have some snaps behind your cushions, so make sure to snap these in so they don't fly off when you're driving. It's always safest to put your bed back in the lounge position when you're driving, because those slats that we put in between the two lounges are just loosely sitting there for just bed mode. All right, inside of your cabin, you have two galleys. On the side of the galleys, you have pop-up countertop extensions. These extensions are very easy to use. If you want to drop your extension, all you're going to do is you have two levers here. Click them. They fold down. On the driver's side wall, you'll see that we have L-track. They make an assortment of L-track hooks and storage bags that you can clip right onto this L-track system. As you come back, you'll notice that all of our drawers are integrated with locking clips. The top drawer, we have it stored for your induction stovetop. Remember, you can't use your induction stovetop until you turn on your inverter. And you can't use your induction stovetop unless you have an induction ready pan. So it's important to have those two things to make this work, okay? Bunch more storage. On the bottom is the storage for your Thetford porta potty. Sponge drawer. Nice storage underneath the sink. Nice drawer. And obviously you saw this in the last video. This is for our slats for the bed. And then it brings you to our isotherm refrigerator. And then you have your heating port on the bottom of your galley. Your cassette toilet. Your cassette toilet is very basic use toilet. So in a cassette toilet, this knob, this twist up here, this is just to put your fresh water in. So this holds 2.5 gallons of fresh water. This is what pumps the fresh water into the toilet. And then this handle right here is how you flush. So you just pull it and it goes down to the holding tank. You can go on Thetford's website to purchase solutions for this toilet. When this is filled up, you'll know, because when you pull this lever, you'll see the liquids at the top. Okay? So then you're going to just take this to a toilet at a campsite. You're going to turn it out. You're going to dump it in the toilet. Or if they have a black water station, you can dump it right in at the black water station. Thetford makes a solution that you can put inside of this toilet with some composting toilet paper, and that will fully dissolve with the solution. All right, let's talk about winterizing your refrigerator. This is a very basic, easy job, but you can kind of mess it up. So one of the things that we like to do is moisture always collects inside of the refrigerator. Once you've powered off your system completely, and winterizing the power system is what I mean, this blue light isn't going to be on anymore. All right, so that indicates that this refrigerator is fully off. Depending on what you stored in here, if you've got ice, you've got anything that's going to be liquid, all that moisture is going to become a pool of liquid. The difference between a marine refrigerator and a regular stock home refrigerator is a stock home refrigerator has a little drain in the rear of it that water and condensation drips out of. A marine refrigerator does not have that. So what I'd like to say is maybe pitch your van at a certain angles to try to keep the water, all the condensation that's going to build up, so it pools in the rear of your refrigerator. So what you could do is once it kind of starts dripping back there, you're going to take your rag, you're going to want to dry off all the interior sections of it. All right, and then once you have pretty much everything dried off, even though it's still going to be probably a little bit wet, you're going to keep your refrigerator open. If you keep the refrigerator open, all of that condensation is going to dry up and you're not going to have any mold inside of your refrigerator in the spring season or whenever you de-winterize your van. This van came equipped with stock swivel seats from Ram. So on the far side, you'll have a grab handle. This grab handle controls the tipping of the seat. Then you have a slide handle. And then on the far side over here, you're going to have your swivel handle. Remember, slide the seat forward before you start swiveling, because you'll see that you can sometimes hit the wall. And then once you have it in that position, then you can slide it back. All right, so up top, we store all of your blackout shades. You got a bunch of blackout shades. If you ever mix up or forget which window it's supposed to go to, on each one of these bags, you're going to see an indicator of which window the bag and blackout shade is made for. All right, so that concludes our video manual. I hope you enjoy your van. If you have any questions about how anything works, any problems, please reach out to our service department at service@sequoiasaltvans.com. Our office hours are 6:30 to 5:30 p.m. Monday through Thursday.